a few tips on what you might want to do in terms of data collection. And these are also more completely described in the notes for this week. Um, do uh, do surveys if you want to get a good idea about what people in some defined group um, have to say about the evaluand, the thing you're evaluating. Very often, surveys are used with recipients of program services. So you find a group of people who are getting the program services, or maybe a group of people who need the program services, or maybe both. And you ask them a uniform set of questions, usually written, about what their experience is with the program. I'm sorry, always written. How would you do a survey that wasn't written? Do a focus group when you want to get a consensus of a group of fairly similar people on what's happening. In evaluation, these are often done with marketing people for product evaluation, uh, vendors, also for product evaluation. For program evaluation, these are very often program implementers at whatever level. Sometimes, if there are a lot of similar people who are working on a program, especially at different sites and different implementations, are very good. You can do focus groups with these people on the telephone. In-person focus groups, if you can get in on-site focus groups from clients, from people who use the program, that's dynamite. Um, in that case, you're trying to get them to reach a consensus on how the program works and whether they're getting what they need from it. Do interviews with people who have unique or special knowledge or perspectives. There's always a long interview with the project director in just about any implementation of a program. For product evaluation, it might be a marketing director, or it might be someone who is introducing people to a particular product. This is often true, for example, with software. And basically, what you're asking from these people with special knowledge is what their experience is in developing and implementing the program. And they're also great sources of information on what the program is supposed to do and what the conditions were surrounding its design. One last caution that probably isn't a problem for you now, but might be later, is site selection. When we're doing anthropology, a lot of times we go to a site because we can get in. So they're willing to have us there. They're willing to cooperate, and that's fine because we're doing a description of a single community, or maybe even a description of two neighboring communities. When you're doing an evaluation, you want what you're doing to be representative of something. And often this means that you will go to more than one implementation or more than one market for your program or your product. When this happens, you need to try to get a set of implementations that are representative of various conditions surrounding implementation. Is it in an urban area or a rural area? Is it being delivered to a poor population or a middle-class population? The site selection criteria are things that you expect will result in differences in implementation. So they may be they may be the size of the program, they may be the conditions surrounding it, Finding out which criteria are important are one of the things you gather from your focus groups and your key informant interviews. If you don't have those when you pick the sites, then you got to do the best you can from written program documents. Very often, out there where you're selling evaluations, clients will come to you with a pre-specified set of sites. When that happens, it's a good idea to review the sites that they've chosen based on some kind of criteria that you expect to affect the program. And you may want to discuss with them the representativeness of the group that you have. The reason for this is that people who are not evaluators very often select sites they want viewed on the basis on two criteria. One, it's a good implementation, and the people are eager to be evaluated because they know they're doing a good job. The other situation in which they're very likely to recommend sites is when there's a known program failure. The program is not doing well. They want to know why, so that they can think of a way to fix it. I do not recommend that you include known program failures in a site sample. The reason is that I've discovered empirically that sites that are failing in terms of some kind of an activity, some kinds of a program, are very often failing for idiosyncratic reasons. The project director quit. There have been 3 project directors in a year for a product. The day before the software was implemented, there was an economic recession and everybody cut back. So a lot of times, the reasons that things fail are idiosyncratic and don't tell you much about the process that the program needs to go through to be effectively implemented. So if you find, if you find a program that's failing, you might want to discuss this with your client because there are better ways to find out how to fix failing programs than to toss them into an evaluation, which would just determine that they're failing. Finally, be sure that that the site selection covers the right criteria. I've always worked with public health people, and for public health people, trained as epidemiologists as they are, geography is everything. I mean, an epidemiologist is a lot like a geographer. What they're tracing is the appearance and intensity of diseases in populations. So they tend to be very oriented to geography. Very often public health people that I've worked with would be very uncomfortable if you didn't have an example of the program from each federal region, or you had to have at least a Midwestern, a Southern, an Eastern, and a West Coast implementation. This may or may not be appropriate. I mean, so if there are known regional differences in either the problem that's being addressed by a program, the ability of people to consume a product, is there enough discretionary income in the community to support a new product? Is there enough industrial development in a region to support a new product? Unless you have some reason to believe that geography will impact how the program operates, you might want to look for other kinds of criteria. But your client will insist that whatever the kinds of criteria you're using, that they be dispersed correctly geographically. But sometimes there's more than one choice in a region. So I guess that's all I'll say at this moment. Once again, if you should be moving into your evaluation now, so do that. Get as ready as you can and go out there and start to collect information. If you have questions or concerns, I am connected to my UNT email and am checking it once a day. If you're in a hurry, email me at maryobutler@verizon.net. Good luck. This is the most fun part of an evaluation. So go out there and talk to people. Talk to you soon. Bye.